Kavan. Few contemporary novelists could match the intensity of her vision. Classic, a love song to the end of the world. Not a word is wasted, not an image is out of place. Ice is a strange and compelling classic of dystopian and climate fiction, one that with foreboding and deep compassion maps the psyche and the terrain of dislocation, astonishes with poetic brilliance. One can only admire the strength and courage of this visionary. Kavan's best novel, a marvel of descriptive, chilling writing, rich in action and introspection. Ice. Forward. Anna Kavan's, I hope I'm saying that right, Ice is a work of literary slipstream, one of the most significant novels of its type. It was the last of the novels she wrote. It was published in 1967, a year before her death, although two other novels whose manuscripts were found in her papers appeared later, and this was published, 1967. It is serious, evocative, and surprising, unique in its obsessive images of encroachment. It is also unusual for its virtually plotless story, told in scenes of happenstance and coincidence. The idea of slipstream literature arose in the United States at the end of the 1980s. It was originally an attempt to identify a certain kind of ambitious science fiction, which lay outside the familiar pulp magazine tropes of space travel, alien invasions, time travel, and so on. Science fiction writers whose work qualified as slipstream included J.G. Ballard, John Sladek, Thomas M. Disch, some of Philip K. Dick, and several others. At the same time, other writers who were outside the science fiction genre, but whose work could conceivably fit into the wider definition allowed by slipstream, were summoned in support. So Angela Carter, Paul Auster, Haruki Murakami, George Louis Borges, and William S. Burroughs were some of the writers involved in this cause. Another notable inclusion was, of course, Anna Kavan. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. The trouble with slipstream in this early sense was that its American advocates were, in effect, trying to create a new marketing category, a niche in the trade into which books that were traditionally difficult to sell might be channeled to find a market. The ways of the book-selling trade are slow to change, though, and nothing came of that. However, there was a real perception behind the label, and the idea of slipstream has taken hold and is still a rewarding way to approach a complex and intriguing writer. In literature, slipstream stands above genres of fiction. In this way, some of science fiction can certainly be recognized as slipstream. So too can many examples of magic realism. Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, of course. I would like to read the rest of the foreword, but I am too excited and I must read the first page. 1. I was lost. It was already dusk. I had been driving for hours and was practically out of petrol. The idea of being stranded on these lonely hills in the dark appalled me, so I was glad to see a signpost and coast down to a garage. When I opened a window to speak to the attendant, the air outside was so cold that I turned up my collar. While he was filling the tank, he commented on the weather. Never known such cold in this month. Forecast says we're in for a real bad freeze-up. Most of my life was spent abroad, soldiering, or exploring remote areas, but although I had just come from the tropics and freeze-ups meant little to me, I was struck by the ominous sound of his words. Anxious to get on, I asked the way to the village I was making for. You'll never find it in the dark. It's right off the beaten track, and those hill roads are dangerous when they're iced up. He seemed to imply that only a fool would drive on under present conditions, which rather annoyed me. So, cutting short his involved directions, I paid him and drove away, ignoring his last warning shout, "Look out for that ice." It had got quite dark by now, and I was soon more hopelessly lost than ever. I knew I should have listened to the fellow, but at the same time, I wished I had not spoken to him at all. For some unknown reason, his remarks had made me uneasy. They seemed a bad omen for the whole expedition. and I began to regret having embarked on it. Okay, so this is another day of NL Fellow. It's a good start to the week, and although I promised to read some Jameson, I had a friend recommend this beauty right here. So I decided to, I'm kind of in the shared workspace right now, so I kind of decided to just give her a try while I take a break from some other research stuff. I didn't bring my microphone today, but so far, so good. And in the foreword, when it was compared to Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude magical realism novel, I was like already super excited. But I'm gonna save it. I just wanted to make sure I was like sucked in really fast, and I am sucked in really fast. So this is NL Fellowship. I think are we on week 4? So things are going really well. Things are moving, and shared workspace. You hear some noises in the background. Have my little Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lipstick. I don't know, I don't like this one as much, but I couldn't find my other one. So it's a pretty good start to the week, and I feel inspired to read a whole lot in the very near future. So I'll give a lot of updates. Maybe I'll switch between, although now I newly feel the most drawn to reading this one and finishing her up. I did read the back yesterday, and I was already. So, ice will soon cover the entire globe. As the glacial tide creeps forward, society breaks down. A nameless man hurtles through the frozen chaos, seeking the white-haired girl he once loved, desperate to rescue her, or perhaps to annihilate her. Through a kaleidoscope of nightmarish scenes, she flees him and his powerful enemy, the Warden. But none of them can outrun the ice. This masterpiece is an apocalyptic vision of environmental devastation and possessive violence rendered in unforgettable, propulsive, hallucinatory prose. We're in this today. I'm so sorry. I got this one on and these work pants. This has been my favorite sort of work outfit for a bit. All right, thank you for joining me, and it's a good start to this fellowship week.